The controversy behind rapper Ice-T's controversial Cop Killer song is reaching new levels. A local city councilwoman is making her point to ban the song. She's having the widows of slain police officers speak up. Elizabeth Anderson has more.
Rapper Ice-T calls it freedom of speech, but Norma Williams hears Cop Killer another way.
We put it under the umbrella as entertainment, but it's not. Murder is not entertainment.
She told council members Ice-T's lyrics are painful reminders of her dead husband, LAPD Detective Tom Williams, murdered by gangs as his 6-year-old son watched.
Ice-T uses the phrase, the 12-gauge shotgun, and the only thing is that it was a MAC-10 that killed my husband.
That's why she thinks the song should be banned.
Just as we're healing the wounds from the riots, that we allow songs as entertainment and suggest killing police officers.
Flores wants Ice-T's company, Time Warner, and every store that sells the CD to voluntarily stop doing it, a request that so far has been denied, but the controversy continues.
You devalue legitimate anger as a means of expression, for anger is able to convey like no other emotion the depth of outrage over a particular offense.
Why is Ice-T's album being singled out? Is it because he is a black American with a legitimate anger against our system?
I don't like it. I'm not going to buy it. But I think government has no business telling artists what they can write or paint or say.
For many, the debate took on a national tone, knowing the U.S. Supreme Court has struck down laws prohibiting hate crimes. The U.S. government argued that it had no right to punish those who communicate messages just because they're hurtful and offensive. But on a local level, the city council disagreed by approving a voluntary ban on lyrics that they say are hurtful and offensive. The lyrics in Ice-T's song. At City Hall, Elizabeth Anderson, Channel 4 News.
Gary Davis, is it?
Yes. Mr. President, members of the council, my name is Gary Davis. I'm a journalist and also a great admirer of Ice-T, a man who's not afraid to speak his mind. Ice-T put aside a lucrative career as a rap artist, reaching mainly a black audience, to form a rock band called Body Count, using real musicians to reach a white audience. The bill that Councilwoman Flores has proposed implies several assumptions which are not true. First, that Cop Killer was written or released after the LA riots, when in fact it was written a year earlier. Second, that Warner Brothers Records has promoted Cop Killer as a separate entity, when in fact it is only one track on an album. It is presumptuous and erroneous to judge this album on the basis of one track. Third, that radio stations are playing this track when in fact the track is completely unsuitable for radio, has never been played on LA radio, and probably never will. But what about the violence expressed in Cop Killer? Every day, we see movies and television using violence as entertainment. A recent film called The Taking of Beverly Hills depicted an armed assault on that city. The current hit movie Lethal Weapon shows an entire housing development being burned to the ground by the LA police. Why is Ice-T's album being singled out? Is it because he is a black American with a legitimate anger against our system? In fact, the First Amendment of our Constitution was written specifically to allow citizens to speak out against the government. At one time, the cry was, "Kill King George." If black Americans feel oppressed by the police force, do they not enjoy the same rights of protest? Many police representatives and Councilwoman Flores have accused Warner Brothers and Ice-T of releasing this song out of greed to capitalize and profit on the Los Angeles riots. The idea that this song was written to make money is ludicrous. Body Count is not a commercial album. It was not created in a corporate boardroom by white executives. The fusion of rap and speed metal is an unusual format without a mainstream audience at all, and the album enjoyed only moderate sales before the protests of police department brought it into the limelight. If anything, Body Count is an anti-commercial album,
Hold on, Les.
the viewpoint of one man,
Your time is up.
perhaps an entire generation. I have one more sentence, please.
Okay.
I hope that this motion can be struck down and that we can allow the freedom of expression and the freedom of protest to continue in Los Angeles.
Thank you very much. Now that closes the public hearing.
Rap singer Ice-T is in even more hot water tonight. First, California State Attorney General Dan Lundgren is now sending a letter to record retailers in the state urging them to stop selling Ice-T's Cop Killer song. Meantime, the Los Angeles City Council is taking a different stand. Council members are calling for a voluntary boycott of the album by retailers, customers, and radio disc jockeys. News 13's Jennifer Arthur was there as the council voted to give Ice-T the cold shoulder.
An inspiration for retaliation or artistic expression? That's what the Los Angeles City Council wants Time Warner to consider when it comes to rapper Ice-T's new song entitled Cop Killer. Council voted 10-4 today to formally ask Time Warner to yank the record from store shelves. And it's asking radio stations in Greater Los Angeles to ban the record from playlists. Councilmember Joan Milky Flores co-authored the motion.
It is socially irresponsible for record companies to promote a song that turns up the heat in Los Angeles.
Ice-T's new album, Body Count, was in the works about a year before the 1992 Los Angeles riots. But since its release in March, opposition has come from everyone from law enforcement groups in New York and Texas to California State Attorney General Dan Lundgren, to Vice President Dan Quayle, and to LAPD police widows. Detective Tom Williams was killed in 1985. Today, his widow Norma and their daughter Susan called the song a musical rendition of his murder.
A MAC-10 was used instead of a 12-gauge shotgun. It's as if Ice-T was there watching and saw how Tom was murdered and decided to put it to music. I am a victim of individuals who thought that killing my husband would put an end to their unhappiness. One is now on death row, and the others are also in prison.
Before the vote to approve the motion, there was concern about protecting First Amendment rights and concern about censorship.
To attempt to censor Ice-T's response to police misconduct on the heels of yesterday's Supreme Court ruling allowing cross burnings and other outward displays of racial hatred in the name of defending free speech is a classic case of adding insult to injury. The people's right to public dissent in the recording, film, and print mediums must be protected.
This song, in the time of riots and everything, is inflaming the community. That's the problem with it.
County supervisors are just as angry, but in a letter to the record company, they're stopping short of asking them to pull the song from the shelves. Instead, they're asking for a boycott. But some people believe government leaders are going too far.
And I think that you're taking it out of context. There's an overreaction to this song.
And in Boyle Heights, in some of the toughest areas of town, they're calling the boycott censorship. Kenneth Earls and his friends have heard the lyrics, and this is what they think.
Everybody has a right of freedom of speech, and I can understand, where Ice-T is coming from, but for myself, I personally, don't like the song. But, I think everybody should have a right, to express themselves.
And there are others who say words are not the problem.
It's just a song. You just got morals in your head. You ain't gonna listen to a song. You be stupid, you do that.
Well, some record chains across the country have pulled the album from the shelves. Here in Southern California, at some of the top record stores, the CD is still selling, and the publicity doesn't seem to have made much difference. In fact, store managers are telling us the album Body Count, which includes the controversial song, has been out since spring, and anyone who is interested in it already has it.
And Time Warner has gone on record saying it will continue to stand by its artist. The album and CDs carry a parental warning, but nonetheless, all the attention is translating to booming sales for Ice-T. In Los Angeles, Jennifer Arthur, News 13.
Williams here with you, sitting in for Teresa Roncon. Why? Because I'm the only person that owns the Body Count album at this station. Also, Body Count is unavailable in Canada as we speak because of the song in question. You know what's happening. It's called, the album is called Cop Killer. Ice-T seems to be the only one talking, except for the police, and Warner Brothers in Canada isn't really talking because they're not releasing the album because the lawyers say that they actually shouldn't. So we'll follow this story up on the weeks to come here on the Power 30.
Today,
Claude was at a press conference held by rapper Ice-T, and he was defending the song Cop Killer, which he recorded with his band Body Count. Perhaps not surprisingly, the song has outraged a number of police officers across America, and the album from which it was taken has not yet been released here in Canada.
The record I did, it's been in movies, been in books, been in comic books, you know? It ain't nothing new. What happened was a black rock band did it, and it went into somebody's house and scared the shit out of somebody. And they are really, really frightened about it. Now, one of the reporters said, well, cops, should they be scared? Or you know, yes, they should be scared, because I'm scared of them. The enemies on that album are racist people, the KKK, parents, no matter what race you are, if you teach racism to your kids, and brutal police. And if those are my enemies, so be it, you know? I don't have nothing against all police. I feel that if the cops were a total, legit organization, non-corrupt, I probably would be a cop.
We're here. We ain't going nowhere. We're moving right next door to you. Body count, body count, body count, body count.
Your album is not available in Canada. What do you think of that?
Canada, y'all ain't got no constitution. It's like the Queen says, or whoever, the Parliament that says no, and so you guys are undergoing. It's funny because when I would go to Canada, y'all would always talk about the censorship in America. I think that people in Canada aren't aware of how censored you are up there. I mean, a lot of stuff just does not get through to you, and you don't know it, you know, but
your album came up on the Canadian chart, the record, you know, the import, so your fans are aware you have an album out.
Oh, no, there's no way you can stop it. You can pull my record out of every record store in the world, and it'll sell on the street. And if they won't allow me to make records, people will pay to watch me speak. The truth can't be stopped. No way.
Write about me, I write about you. You think I'm violent, but listening you will find my lethal weapon's my mind.
Time Warner is coming under fire for marketing the rap song Cop Killer by Ice-T. Police departments in several U.S. cities are calling for a boycott of Time Warner products. They range from movies like Batman Returns to Sports Illustrated magazine to home box office and Cinemax. Time's co-chairman says Cop Killer is simply an expression of free speech. He has no plans to pull the album. Steve Young has more.
Ice-T's song Cop Killer is described by Time Warner co-CEO Gerald Levin as an inner-city shout of pain and protest. It's no more a call for gunning down police, says Levin, than the song Frankie and Johnny is telling jilted lovers to shoot each other. But even record critics who admire Ice-T, and there are many, say Time Warner's concern is more basic.
When he's making money and when he's selling records, they're not going to say, hey, Ice-T, tone it down a little bit, you know, sing about, you know, going to church on Sunday morning. They're just not going to do that because it would be, people aren't going to buy the records.
No comment on camera from Warner Brothers Records about the police call for the record to be pulled, but a former Warner executive says Time Warner is right in resisting.
If a company responds to economic pressures in that way, then it is truly to be condemned. I don't think it should be condemned for allowing a form of free expression that some people think is too raw.
Other record companies have made different business decisions and paid a price. Geffen Records refused to release a Ghetto Boys song about raping a woman and slitting her throat, saying it was too violent. Warner Brothers put it out, and as the result of that decision, Geffen Records lost a hit group, the Black Crowes. Police warn if they can link future cop killings to Ice-T, they'll sue Time Warner. But it may be tough to prove that life imitates rap. Commenting on the rap roar, a Geffen Records executive says everyone has the right of free speech, but they don't have the right to major record distribution. Steve Young, CNN Business News, New York.
The Boston Police Union is asking the city to divest its stock in Time Warner Company to protest the rap song called Cop Killer. Several police organizations nationwide are demanding Ice-T's controversial song be pulled from the stores. The company says the boycott has backfired and is spurring sales. CNN's Steve Young reports.
Police in Paris, Texas, calling for a boycott against Time Warner to protest the song Cop Killer. They join some of the nation's biggest police departments who are up in arms. The global record shows business boycotts can work, but not often.
We saw it certainly with the South African stocks. Anything who was doing business in South Africa had to be worried about it. There are always some of these sorts of things going on.
This boycott may have boomeranged because Warner Records reported a surge in the sale of Ice-T's Body Count albums, and there was a split in police ranks. The National Black Police Association, breaking with other officers in blue, supported Ice-T's right to free speech, despite the anti-police content.
Living in a democracy in a time where the right to demonstrate and freedom of speech and expression should be adhered to.
If Time Warner doesn't pull Cop Killer from the stores, New York City police pension funds threaten to sell $17 million in Time Warner stock. That's not expected to make a dent in Time Warner's trading price. But criticism about a rap recording from another company, Priority Records, may have Time Warner executives more uneasy. Before the Los Angeles riots, the rapper Ice Cube, no relation to Ice-T, warned Korean merchants.
So pay respect to the black fist, or we'll burn your store right down to a crisp.
Later, in the Los Angeles riots, Korean merchants were a frequent target. Was the rap inspiration or a coincidence? Whichever, it has fueled debate about corporate responsibility for incendiary rap rhetoric. Steve Young, CNN Business News, New York.
In related news, the controversial song Cop Killer by rapper Ice-T continues to draw fire across the country from both police groups and politicians. Alabama Governor Guy Hunt has asked record retailers in his state to stop selling Body Count, the speed metal album on which the song is included. And in Virginia, a Commonwealth attorney for Prince William County has asked retailers in his jurisdiction to do the same. In addition, 60 congressmen, most of them Southern Republicans, have sent an angry letter to Time Warner, the conglomerate that owns Ice-T's record company. And a police organization, the Sergeants Benevolent Association, is asking its members to take the prepaid subscription cards that fall out of such Time Warner magazines as Time and People and write "I Hate Cop Killer" on them before mailing them off postage free. Then there's Norma Williams, the widow of a Los Angeles policeman who was killed in 1985, who calls the Ice-T track a despicable and loathsome lesson in how to kill a cop. Finally, in New York City on Monday, President George Bush said during a speech that, quote, "I stand against those who use film or records or videotape or video games to advocate the killing of law enforcement personnel. It is sick."
If you really look at what they're trying to do with me, they're not trying to stop Time Warner. They're trying to shut down my platform. They're trying to make it so uncomfortable for Time Warner, who has made it comfortable for me. They're trying to say, we don't want him to have a place to talk. After this record, what, they don't want my next record to come out? They don't want me in movies. They don't want me anywhere because they know that I'm going to tell people the truth. And so they're trying to shut the platform down. I think as people, we should rally behind the people who are allowing artists like myself to speak.
Ice-T defending his song Cop Killer. And Gail, you're going to wonder, how far can you go with free speech and so forth?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's free speech. What do you? I don't know.
It's a tough call. It's a very tough call.
It is a tough call, but
we'll see what happens, though. We will.